Starting out on Warzone isn't easy, with around 100 weapon choice options available, which is why in today's video, I'm covering the best class setup and loadout for beginners in Warzone. This video is also helpful for players who maybe have played Warzone for a little while, but want a solid loadout choice to add consistency to their game. Sometimes when you're chasing the meta around, you find that 1, they're often pretty hard to control and manage, and 2, the meta changes so often it can be hard to keep up. The weapons I'm going to share with you here are largely meta-proof, and they've been top tier for basically all of Warzone, and I expect will continue to do so. We'll start with 2 assault rifles that have been floating around the top of the tree forever. That's the M4A1 and Kilo. The Kilo basically has 0 recoil, but doesn't have the highest damage in the world, but it is super balanced and easy to use, and will dominate between about 30 to 80 meters. I recommend running the monolithic suppressor. This adds sound suppression and damage range, and you want to run this attachment on pretty much all Modern Warfare weapons on Warzone. For the barrel, we have the Singard Arms 19.8-inch Prowler, which increases damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control, with the loss of a little bit of aiming down sight speed and movement speed. For the underbarrel, Whack-On Commando foregrip, this improves the recoil even more. Then for the ammo, 60 rounds is great and allows us to take out multiple players without moving around too slowly, which would happen with the 100 round drums. Lastly, I recommend the VLK 3x optic, enabling clarity at basically all distances. Collectively, this class setup gives you the most minimal recoil and is super easy to use, allowing you to dominate and hit plenty of shots at distance. Next, we have the M4A1 assault rifle, which I ran in week 1 of Warzone and still have in my setup today. That's how good it is. The attachments I run are monolithic suppressor for the reasons I mentioned before, the stock M16 Grenadier as the barrel, which is the largest barrel available and improves damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control, but you do lose quite a bit of movement speed and aiming down sight speed with it. If you're using this as your main long range option though, this barrel is fantastic. For the underbarrel, I've gone with Commando foregrip again to control that recoil even more. Then we have 60 round mags and the VLK 3x optic just to round it off. This is a little harder to control compared to the Kilo, but its damage is a lot higher, so it will take people down much quicker if you do hit those shots. This group of attachments does have pretty good control over the recoil though, so it's really not too bad. Now let's talk about SMG options for that close range action. I'm going to start with the Bullfrog, which is a great little weapon from Cold War and has naturally good recoil and a lot of bullets in its ammo clips. With some tweaking though, it can be even better. I recommend the GRU suppressor for sound suppression, recoil control and bullet velocity, as well as damage range. This adds greatly to the control and distance viability of the Bullfrog at the cost of a little bit of ADS speed. For the barrel, I run the 7.4-inch Task Force for even more damage range and velocity, as well as strafe speed, meaning when you're aimed in and shooting an enemy, you can move side to side much quicker and be harder to hit. For this, you do lose vertical and horizontal recoil, but don't worry too much because I use the Spetsnaz grip for the underbarrel, which improves both types of recoil. For the ammo, I run the standard 65 round mag. This is plenty to get the job done usually, and if you run larger clips or the speed mags, you get a further reduction of aiming down sight speed, which we definitely don't want. Lastly, I suggest the KGB skeletal stock that improves the sprint to fire time, ADS firing move speed, and aim walking movement speed, essentially meaning you'll again be harder to hit when you're aiming in and moving around. This bunch of attachments enhances the Bullfrog's best points, producing a super stable and low recoil beamer of an SMG. It's best used at close ranges of course, but can really dominate the short to medium range because of its superior ammo clips and recoil control compared to most other SMGs. The downside is that at super close ranges, you can get caught out by SMGs with either higher damage or fire rate, which is where my alternative SMG comes in. The Modern Warfare MP5 again has been a favourite of mine since Season 1, and honestly, still is to this day, although my setup has changed for it in recent times. For the barrel, I run the monolithic integral suppressor, which of course gives you sound suppression, as well as adding to bullet velocity, whilst narrowly reducing your ADS speed. Then we run the 5MW laser to increase hipfire accuracy and sprint to fire speed. For underbarrel, this time I've gone with the Merc foregrip to increase recoil control and, importantly for this setup, the hipfire accuracy. 45 round mags is a must have. Then finally I run stippled grip tape as the rear grip, enhancing aiming down sight speed and sprint to fire speed. This mix of attachments makes the MP5 such a mobile and in-your-face SMG, quite the contrast to the Bullfrog. This MP5 build isn't going to take people out at any great distances, but at close range you can bamboozle your opponents and almost always get your shot off first, especially when hip firing. Okay, I'm not going to cover LMGs here, but a great option is the PKM, which I covered in a previous video, and you can watch by clicking the card in the top right hand corner now. I will give you two quick sniper choices though, which are really easy to use. First is the Kar 98K, which has the monolithic suppressor, Singard custom 27.6 inch barrel, tac laser, sniper scope, and F-tac sport comb. This makes the car have really good movement and aiming down sight speed. Be warned though, the Kar 98K is basically a headshot only weapon, as it hits really poorly in the body and chest, and it doesn't have the best bullet velocity, so you'll have to factor in the bullet dip at longer distances. In contrast to the Kar 98 is the HDR, which is a slower aiming, heavier sniper, but packs a big punch. It has hardly any bullet dip, so will allow you to hit people at long ranges without much of a problem. It will also hit harder in other parts of the body, so when you don't hit them in the head, they'll still feel it. The attachments I recommend are the monolithic suppressor, 26.9 inch HDR barrel, tac laser, F-tac stalker scout, and 9 round mags. These ensure the HDR still pings at long ranges, but maximizes the aim down sight speed so it's not too slow. In terms of what to run for equipment and perks, there are a few options, but primarily the best are EOD for perk 1, which reduces explosive damage against grenades and rocket launchers, Ghost or Overkill for perk 2. Overkill gives you 2 primary weapons, so if you get your loadout early and you're confident of picking up the free map loadout to then get Ghost, this is a great option. However, the safest option is Ghost. This keeps you off the heartbeat sensor and UAVs. For perk 3, Amped is the best, as this allows you to swap weapons and use equipment much faster, giving you the upper hand in gunfights. For equipment, Semtexes are still the best option in my opinion. They're quick to throw and have good range and damage. In fact, these days, if you stick someone with a Semtex, they'll always go down, even with full armor, which wasn't the case previously. Along with that is the heartbeat sensor. It's just so overpowered. If someone doesn't have Ghost or their loadout yet, you're picking them up on this thing with ease. Alright, that's covered the best weapons, classes, and loadouts for beginners or people just wanting to improve. I honestly believe these setups will help you out, regardless of how experienced you are on Warzone. If you did enjoy the video, remember to give it a like, and if you want to see more Call of Duty videos, shorts, and streams, make sure you're subscribed. Bye for now.